one drone that you're using right now. Are you going to be expanding it or adding more drones to the fleet?
Hopefully, but right now, the way I have it set up is the drone. So we have 3 different implements. One is for clams, one is for seagrass, spartina, and mangroves altogether, and one is for oyster sanctuaries. So the way it's set up is we take the drone off. The drone doesn't have the legs anymore. The legs are now on the apparatuses. So we set the drone on whichever apparatus we're going to use and connect it, and then it'll fly the thing. So we can do all 3
with one drone.
But
yeah, it's essentially making that crop spraying drone a modular drone, kind of like a much larger version of what we have with Develop Air.
The length of time the drone before it needs to be refueled, or you have to.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. You can stay up 15 minutes max.
Wow.
So,
okay.
That's with like all like the payload and
yeah, that's with
that's
the payload.
delivering the payload.
Yeah.
And with the
just shy of an hour without.
You showing the plot, the drone flies itself and is releasing its payload on its own, right? You don't have an operator telling it what to do.
No, it would never work if you tried to do it by hand.
And no, again, you can in like emergency situations take over manually, or even if you're just wanting to do like basic test or whatever, you can fly it manually with a controller, and it's a lot less forgiving, learning with a drone like that versus something like Develop Air.
Usually when I'm flying it by hand, I'm more nervous than I am happy. So,
yes,
because something's gone wrong, and there's something.
If it crashes in the water, you might have to.
have
to retrieve it or let it go and get a new one.
If those electrons got in the salt water, it'd be a game over.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to pry, but just
how much does it
very
cost?
Expensive, not very expensive, higher than.
So if we were going to replace that drone today, because I bought that drone 5 years ago, I guess. $60,000, and then our attachments are probably another 20
for each one.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ooh. Yeah.
So that's expensive.
So I can see why you would be nervous if you're flying it.
Yeah, this thing is literally like, and calling it mini is a misnomer, but it's like a mini helicopter, and even bigger than some of like those little 1 or 2 seater helicopters. I mean, maybe that's a little bit of but not far off. I mean, this is an aircraft. It's
how
true
big
vehicle.
Is this
it's
drone?
Spread out. It reaches further than this table.
Yeah, it's 10 feet prop tip to prop tip.
Wow. So
it's 8 motors.
That's prop tip on one side from the other with the props like this.
Extended out. Yeah.
10 feet. Wow. Okay.
So it's big.
What's the maximum weight it'll carry?
So it's 145 pounds.
Wow, I could carry
Sustained.
So, like, it could very briefly get me off the ground. That's not saying all that much, but I always made a joke when it was in our office or going out to the field where you either put the fluid tanks if you're spraying water, or the 2 little reservoirs or whatever for dumping like the seed into, like the clam and oyster seed. It kind of looks like the little spots in a baby swing, to put your legs through. And so I always talked about making it like my little passenger drone while it was with us. Never did that, but yeah.
Yeah, I asked the Helio guys. When I first did this, they were a smaller company, so I was talking to the owners, and now they've gotten pretty big. I still talk to the owners. But I asked him, I said, what happens if I overload it? I know you got a safety factor. He said, well, they'll be fine until you get to it, and then it crashes. So there's not like wobbling, let's land. It's like, boom.
Yeah. It's like, cannot sustain enough lift.
Now, so battery power is our biggest hindrance right now. With the battery power we have, and with our spread rate, we can do an acre in 15 minutes. So we can do 1 million clams every 15 minutes. Now, if it's real windy, probably cut that in half. And a lot of times there'll be a 20-knot wind, and when it does,
you don't want to fly when it's windy.
Well, I do, but it's only about 7 or 8 minutes, and it's coming back.
Yeah. So, and you need 2 of these batteries. Each of these batteries weighs 10 to 11 pounds. So, I mean, again, our drones are like 4 pounds with the battery and everything. So, I mean, it's quite an operation to run this, right? for if you're doing a couple of acres, right, you may need 8 batteries, you know, if it's a windy day, right? And it's not like, oh, let me just like fill up my little backpack with batteries and have my drone case. I mean, you saw what Ernest showed up. It's not even just the cost of the drone, right? How are you getting that drone from site to site, right? You need something like a Sprinter van to get it around. So
Is it in there now?
No, it's back in Florida.
Yeah.
And in that Sprinter van, I've got a 5,000 watt inverter.
charge batteries.
To charge batteries. Each charger is a 3,000 watts. So I can run one battery charger at a time, and you can plug up a pair of batteries on the charger. So
Yeah, these battery chargers, if you like, depending on like the circuit, if you have 2 of them on the same circuit, you can very easily trip the circuit.
yeah,
So like when they're in our office, we'll take like one battery charger, plug it in on one side of the office on one circuit or like one panel, and then we'll bring another battery charger over like Brian's media side and charge other batteries over there if need be. So
and we also have
quite
one.
the
There's a group in New York State. I talked to them a long time ago about possibly building what we have out of carbon fiber, and just I didn't have my concept really going. It was all thoughts, and so it didn't really go very far. But I called them. They're called Dragon Plate, and they manufacture carbon fiber. And so I called them about 3 weeks ago. Again, I said, "Hey, we talked a while back. I got something that's running now. It works. I want to look at making it out of carbon fiber instead of aluminum because, there's some of it's not aluminum, so it's pretty heavy. And so anyway, they said okay, and took it. And they said we got a meeting on Monday morning, so I'll present it at the meeting. I'll send the engineer. He came back and said, hey, the owner of the company wants to get involved in this. He said this looks like a really good project, and he said so they're helping us with design, and they're helping us with some of the cost of doing a carbon fiber model of what we're doing right now. So
that's awesome.
I just had our 3D printer guy do all the CAD drawings for us. So once we get that done, that'll cut that weight, I think right now is about 25 pounds.
I was about to say at least like 10, 15 pounds. Of probably cut.
So I imagine it'll go down to 10 pounds.
Yeah.